Okay. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. It looks like everybody is here, which is so awesome. And it is 5:03. And I guess why don't we just start by letting you guys introduce yourselves. Hannah, if you want to go first.
Sure. Hey, I'm Hannah, Hannah Smith. I live in Estacada, right up the street, right up 211 off Hayden with my husband and 2 stepkids. I am an owner of 355 South Broadway, right next to Taylor. And I'm excited to be here. Thanks for choosing me, and ready to just learn about the town and see what this is all about. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Hannah. Go ahead, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Chris. I work for Ant Farm, and so I'm representing myself as a community member, but our business is downtown behind Harmony Bakery at this point, as well as a potential one on Zobrist next to the kayak shop in the near future. So I'm doing that kind of business, I guess, the nonprofit world. But thanks for having me.
Okay, so we have a really big agenda tonight. And the first thing on the list is electing the chair and vice chair. First of all, does anyone else have an interest in being the chair other than me? No. Okay. Does anyone have an interest in being the vice chair? No, that's not good.
What does it mean, Taylor?
Yeah,
To be the
can you-
vice chair?
Yeah, what's the job?
What does it entail?
Essentially you're just would be the acting chair. Am I right on that, Melanie? That if I'm not here, you're just taking over the meeting, or if the chair, I'm not the chair yet, but if I was, you would just take over if I wasn't here.
Yeah, basically run the meeting to keep us on track, just following the agenda. And then if if Taylor was, or whoever is the chair, would be helping to set the agenda. And so if that person is out for more of an extended time, like a couple weeks before the meeting, then the vice chair would just kind of fill in and offer support to the chair also. So that's about all. Pretty simple.
Okay. So does anyone have interest in that?
I mean, if nobody else is doing it, I will.
Okay. So Melanie, how does that work?
Okay, why don't we go with the chair first, so somebody can make a nomination or make a motion to nominate you as the chair. Somebody will second it, and then we'll do a vote real quick, and then we'll do the same thing for the vice chair, and then somebody can make a motion to nominate Hannah, and it's kind of the same thing.
Okay.
So do we have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to nominate Taylor as our chair.
I will second that motion.
And then is it an all in favor, say aye?
Sure.
Aye.
Aye.
I
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Yeah, any opposed? No, no.
Nope.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to make Hannah the vice chair.
I would second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Okay.
Perfect.
Fantastic.
We're on a roll.
Great. Moving
Go.
on. Okay, so public comment number 1. Do we have anyone waiting?
There's nobody in the attendees section right now, so no comments at this time.
Okay. So we'll move on past that. And then we'll need to adopt the minutes from last meeting. Can I make a motion for that, or does someone else need to? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Then somebody else
I'll-
will second. Yeah.
I wasn't there, but I did
Oh.
read them and I did watch the Zoom. So is that fair?
Yeah,
I'll second
totally fine.
that.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to the e-newsletter effort. We need to discuss sources of content and determine who will format the information into MailChimp. I know that Bennett has been kind of a big part of the email situation, and then also the sending out the, oh, what's it called? The newspaper stuff. So with Matt gone, I know he was working on the newsletter. Is anyone else interested in helping with the newsletter? And the formatting the information into MailChimp?
And I'm not sure how much of that Matt was doing, but I was telling Taylor just a bit ago, we have hired somebody not to fill Matt's position, but to fill a role that will be staff for you for the work that you're doing. And so that if that's a staff job, then that you could note that too. But I don't know if you're all contributing to that newsletter or it
Well,
was mostly.
anybody can contribute to it, but we need a staff person. So, and the reason we need a staff person, there's a few reasons. One is that we're using a email list that the city has put together. And so we don't have access to that. And the other thing is we're using the city's, I think it's probably constant contact account so we need somebody at the city to format it. So as far as content is concerned, we have a few ideas on deck for the newsletter. I mean, the big thing that we have coming up is the passport. So we did the 2 Christmas newsletters. Now we want to do something about the passport. My next idea for the newsletter was to do something about events that are downtown, you know, like music and all that kind of junk. I know there's some places that have regular events every week or every month or whatever. And I bet that would be a really good one to put up. So so on the content part of it, I think the best thing to do would be for people to feed content to me. And then I can write up the narrative for it. And then somebody at the city, what Matt was doing, Melanie, was basically going out into your library of pictures and selecting pictures to go along with whatever narrative I fed to him. So
Okay.
it's not a real big job, but we have to have staff support for it.
So Bennett, are you okay with everybody just like shooting you an email when they have an event going on?
Absolutely. In fact, so what I'll do is what Matt would have done had it been, if he were here, he would have sent out, because he has a list of businesses, right? So he would send out an email to all of those businesses and he would say, do you have regular events going on? And do you have music on, you know, Friday nights, or do you have, you know, a special sale every week or something like that, whatever it is. And then businesses would feed that information back to him and he would give it to me. I would write it up. I would give it back to him. He'd attach some photos in the newsletter and off it would go. So it's what we want to do is have what goes on Facebook, what goes into the newsletter, and what goes on, what press releases I write to all kind of blend with each other so that we're not creating the same thing over and over and over again. And eventually that will probably become, what my guess is, it'll probably become something that staff will take over. But we wanted to, the only reason that I'm involved in it now is just to make sure that the process is set up and the routine is set up and that it's well enough down the road that somebody can do it almost blindfolded. So.
Okay, and how often are we sending out the emails?
So our plan was to do it either every other week or every week. And I think probably every other week is going to be about as much as we can bite off, because for the biggest reason, I mean, it could even be once a month. The biggest reason is because businesses, when Matt sends that email out to them saying, hey, what Christmas, you all guys all saw the Christmas email, right?
Yeah.
So he said, what do you got that we can put up on this Christmas thing? Well, then it takes them a while to get back to him. So what I told him is, you need to set these deadlines, and if they miss out, they miss out. And pretty
Yeah.
soon they'll get that down.
Correct.
And but if you keep saying to everybody, hey, this is an indefinite, you can send it anytime you want to, then that will not be part of setting up a routine process.
Yeah, I agree
So,
with that.
yeah, so anyway, so right now, if we got it out once a month, that would be, that for me, that would be us achieving a goal. If we could get it when we have a staff person in place, if we could actually get it so that that we do it every other week, that even better. Because those of you that have dealt with marketing, a lot of it is how many touches you make. And we don't want to saturate people, but at the same time, we want to have us top of mind enough so that people start thinking, oh gosh, there's something to do in Estacada on, Thursday nights or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
there you go.
Okay.
Okay, so
And so
I'll note that anybody who wants to can be a source of content and just send that to Bennett.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then when we have staff on board that can also do outreach to the other businesses, that's another source. But then it all goes to Bennett. She writes the text, make sure it all sounds good, and then we'll get it back to, I don't know how to do MailChimp, but within the next couple of weeks, we'll figure out how to get it can't be that hard, right? So
No,
we'll get,
I don't think it is. I think it's just, and in fact, the chores around it, I don't think are very laborious. So,
right.
so
if I need to do it, I probably could as staff, and then our new person coming on, I'm sure she'll pick it up. She might have
Yeah.
even already done that. So
yeah.
Bennett
I mean,
first, Bennett will write it up, and then to staff and get it out.
we taught people with very, very little computer acumen at the Chamber of Commerce how to do it. And so I'm sure that it's possible.
Okay.
One last thing that I want to say, and then I'll shut up for a while, is that Jenny, if you can send me some information about the passport, because I'm sure that that's part of what the conversation is going to be tonight. If you can send me all the details, like where to get them and all that kind of stuff, I'll start working on a press release. I'm in Nebraska right now, and I actually have a little bit of downtime, which is unusual. So I can start working on that if you can send me information.
So yeah, and I will get to the passport details later because that is on the agenda for our meeting. But one thing I wanted to bring attention to too, because the last meeting, again, I missed it, but it's fresh in my mind because I just watched the Zoom this morning. But one thing that was brought up at the last meeting was that the content ought not to be just events, but also what's happening in downtown. And that was one thing that you guys discussed, was like just really taking the perspective of the community and what are the questions that are coming up for them, such as all the construction happening downtown. So the passport is not necessarily going to be the best fit for the most immediate press release, because again, I'll get to that later, but there's a lot of work to be done there. But I think some really immediate focus could be just on all the changes happening in downtown. So a lot of construction happening. And so I think that that might be a better fit for the more immediate press releases, is all of that.
I agree. I was thinking that too.
Just that, here's one last thing. Any ideas anybody has for press releases or for the newsletter, please just send them, because pretty soon I'll run out of them. And it would be great when we pass this on to a staff person if they have a stack of ideas that they could work off of.
Yeah, that's a good
Since
idea.
I'm new to the group, is the emails that are in kind of the group email that Melanie sent out, are those emails that can be used to send that kind of information to Bennett?
Yeah, Bennett, is that a good email for you? The email that that Melanie used to email you, like is a Zoom link and stuff, that the email that we have, is that the one you want us sending the information to? Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't have to send it to, I guess you could send it. We don't want to get into a discussion in the email because we want to do that in a meeting. So you could just, you could send it to everybody, but probably just send it to Bennett. And then if you have questions about content or want to discuss content that's upcoming, let's talk about it at your next meeting.
Sure.
But just go ahead and keep feeding feeding ideas and information to Bennett, and she'll get it written up.
And Melanie, just since I'm new to this, if there's an item that needs to be put on the agenda, like say Jenny's like, hey, I thought of this, is she supposed to send that to you or to me? Or does it matter?
It doesn't necessarily matter. I maybe send it to you since you're the chair.
Okay.
But then she could copy me or whoever, Elena, when she starts, copy staff, so staff will kind of track down with all of that. But she could send it to you because as the chair, then you help to set the agenda.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Good to know.
good process.
Okay, so just to reiterate, if you have an idea for something, send Bennett the info. She will get it all put together and get it to the staff person. And then the staff person will contact businesses or whoever else in order to get more information, and then they will send it out. Does that sound good to everybody? Cool. Okay, so on to the next thing.
Taylor, can I ask something real fast?
Of course.
For the newsletter, how do people sign up? Is it on the website? Or is
It
it
is on-
word of mouth or?
It is on the website, isn't it, Bennett?
So, so what happened, Hannah, is that Matt used the city's water bill. I think it was the water bill email addresses that they have been collecting over, time. And so he mailed that to them. And so there isn't really any website. So excellent question. There isn't really any website, or what it says in the email is if you know anybody that wants to sign up for this, go ahead and forward this on to them. And then there actually is a link to sign up for it. But, and I put in everything that I write, if you're interested in signing up for this, and I give them the link. And so that is the only way that I know of right now for signing up for the email, is just that somebody got it and forwarded it to you.
That's kind of an issue, I guess, because we're probably not really growing our list very much, are we?
No, but a couple of things to think about. One is at some point, maybe we have a website, but the other thing is that one of the next things on the list on the whole social media thing, and I think Taylor, you're involved in that, is that when we get the Facebook up and going, then we can start publicizing it on that format.
Okay, that works. Okay. Next is the Harvest Festival and Uncorked. So looks like first few things are to determine the date and time for the event. Connie, do you have anything on that?
Okay, sorry about that. Don't show my picture. Get my picture out of there. Okay, there we go. I don't like, yeah, we talked about doing the first part of September. So whatever, is that Labor Day after that weekend? So I don't think we want to wait any later than that. So do we have a consensus that Saturday would be good?
Saturday, the 10th?
Yes.
I am fine with that date. How does everybody else feel about that? Good.
Okay,
Good. Schools will be in session, so a lot of things will be kind of back here.
right.
A lot of families will be back in this area
Okay.
after Labor Day.
Okay.
And then
Go
what
ahead.
time?
That's what I was gonna ask you. Is that normally a afternoon event?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I was gonna offer an idea to go with that. I only experienced one harvest festival, and I think I missed out on the last Uncorked based upon when we moved here and then COVID times. But I was curious on how extensive, like how broad of an event is that? Is it specific to just that kind of space that's over there by the food bank, the harvest field, that it was in last time, or does it kind of bleed out into the downtown area in the streets? Do we close the streets? That kind of
Well,
stuff.
yeah, we had the harvest market area. We had that driveway right there closed down, so we were actually across the street also. We're gonna do it now on Third Street, which is right in front of the liquor store. It goes down by Key Bank and Art Smith and that. Thinking that, we'll definitely talk with a lot of those owners won't be open on Saturday, but using their parking lots and maybe even using Harvest Market Square for some events. The time, I was thinking maybe like, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock until 6, 7. I don't know. That's going to be up for discussion, because when you have kids events, you got people that, kids get tired, they want to go home, they got to have dinner, all that kind of stuff. But then you also have the wine. So do you want to make that more of a early evening type of thing? So I think if we get the date, then we can start working on the time, and I'll definitely take input from anybody and listen to you.
I'm a little torn on time because I've got 3 little kids, and we start nap time at 1. And then, I mean, we would typically be able to come at like 4:30 or 5, but then the event's almost over, and is everything gone? So I guess that's just my perspective from somebody who's got littler kids. I would almost like rather see it start at like 11.
Okay, well, and then also, how late is it going to stay light? The 1st of September.
Yeah.
So I know people drink wine during the day. I don't have a problem with that. So if we do like an 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, if we keep it to 4 hours, is that a good time?
Let's see what Chris is gonna say. What's up, Chris?
So with the mindset of the adults drink the wine, the youth don't. And like Taylor's kids, they kind of have naps midday. So we're kind of like on both ends. One thought I was going to add to what's already kind of scheduled in there, that might help and keep people there in the mornings and bring them back in the evenings, is what we did in Forest Grove called Chalk Art Festival, where in the mornings families would come down and they would draw art on squares of the sidewalks of the street that's closed off. That might bring families down earlier and might have some events that way. And then midday, you might have some like the music starting and some of that. So everyone's feeling like they're getting a piece of this festival. And those who don't want to come down earlier for either the chalk art, or they're just, later risers, they're still coming down for the music part of it that at least I experienced last time. And maybe they're staying later for some of the wine or some of the other beverages that would be, opened up at that point. But the chalk art is kind of fun because if they don't come down early, a lot of that art, the kids and families, or even, actual artists are doing their art on the sidewalk. There's still something to see later in the day as attached to that. So it brings families down earlier, and then it becomes almost like an art gallery walk where people with, their kids coming later or coming back, they still get to feel like they were part of that component, and it kind of brings a full day experience versus it being like a half day. And I know that if we're going later, like 8 or 9 or whatever the suggestion was, that makes a long day. But if it feels like there's these chunks of time that all chunks have something to offer, then everyone can kind of schedule around what's best for them, and we're likely to get more people to come overall. They may not overlap at the same moment, but we're going to have them downtown at some point.
Yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea of having a kids' time and then transgression, well, whatever that word is, moving into a more late afternoon, early evening type of thing. So,
How long do
Okay.
you think we could get volunteers for, Connie?
well, that's the thing. Usually you can count on volunteers that are not part of the core group for 2, maybe 3 hours. But, if we have there's gonna be people that specifically want to do Harvest Festival because they want to do the kid stuff. There's people that are gonna want to do Uncork because they want to be involved with that. And I think we're gonna be scaling it back enough so we won't need as many volunteers. And I think one of the things we need to draw on is, like I mentioned earlier, Julie and Taylor, you guys have customers that come in, start talking people up about helping at these events only for a couple hours. Get the word out that this is a way to get people involved, but it's not a huge commitment. So I think we can do that. This is going to be a new way of doing something, which I'm kind of excited about. I'm excited about having it on Third and over in the Harvest Market. So I think we can make that work. I'd like to get the ball rolling no later than March, because we gotta get the OLCC involved and save the date type of stuff, and so that's.
So as for a time, what do you think about like an 11 to 4? Is that too long? Should it be 11 to 5? Is that too long?
So 11 to 5 would be 6 hours, right? I think 11 to 5 would be better as far as the uncorked part.
Okay.
And then the 11 o'clock, definitely the kids part. So, let's just try it and see. We just need to make sure that, we have the food people downtown will be open if people want to kind of have lunch or go to dinner before they hang around and have some wine. And give me input, guys. What do you think? Chris?
One thing, well, 2 points. One, being with my Ant Farm hat on, we have a good base of volunteers in youth that we really encourage to give back to their communities. And so depending on, the different tasks, if there's tasks that are not being filled that a youth, say 14 to 18 could fill, lean on us for that. Obviously there's some things that we can't have youth doing. The other piece about the timing, I think that there's like, if you were to say like it's from 11 to 5, here are the main events, like if we were to include the chalk part of it, they could come down earlier at their own time and do that, and even have it like the chalk being distributed earlier on in the day. That's a really low key amount of people that you need to have volunteering for that, but that's bringing them down a little bit earlier. Just thinking about when my kids were, Taylor's age, or what the average youth that's moving in here is, they're probably going to want to have their kids taking a nap in that noon to 2 range. And so that gives them some time to see the setup, to see things going on, to be a part of it. And then they might come back, they might not. And so if we're going to go till 5 or 6, I would say bump it back to like even 9 or 10 for the morning things, because it's going to be super low key. Whereas then in the afternoon, that 11 to 5 or 11 to 6, that's where we're going to need probably the majority of our volunteer base.
Okay.
So you want to try 10 to 5?
Yeah. How about
Okay.
that?
Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. And Chris, thank you for that knowledge of the volunteers. We also have adult and teen challenge, but they really can't be involved with the uncorked part. So we do have tasks where set up, take down, that type of stuff. So that's great.
Okay.
What's exactly, just a brief background on what does the day include? Is that just in the planning, or is it the same thing every year?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question.
What is exactly the day? What's the day? Is it a bunch of vendors? Is there food, or what is the Harvest Festival, and what is?
Well, the Harvest Festival was focused around kids' activities. We had pumpkin painting. Oh my gosh, what did we have? We had pie eating, but adults got involved in that too. We had various activities for kids. We got the food bank involved, and we had a chili cook-off. and we had about, well, we need to increase that. At one year, we had about 4 vendors. People put in money to get a taste, and half of that went to the food bank. We had bike decorating contest. We did have some did we have food vendors? I don't think well, okay, what we did was we asked various, yeah, like the cheerleaders to do hot dogs, we didn't bring in food vendors, but we had food available.
Yeah,
Also
and we
had
have
some
food trucks.
merchandising people that were doing, jewelry, and we had one guy that was doing fresh fruits and vegetables, or, winter type of veggies, that kind of thing. We had one group that was doing just salads, in a bowl, take a salad. But yes, we did have some food. And also for Uncorked, we had pretty much the same thing. We had more substantial vendors doing, it was the same, it was salads or pizza by the slice or different types of things. So we do try and get food involved. That answer your question?
Yeah, just getting an idea of the day, because we're talking hour, a time
well-
frame, but I don't even know what's even involved. So just good to know.
Yeah.
What-
And
the
for
harvest-
go ahead.
Sorry, was the Harvest Fest where they set up the stage and there was bands playing, or is that a different event?
No, that we had, yes, we did have, I think we had 2 bands. And then but the biggest draws for the Harvest Festival was the pie eating was huge. Because that was so much fun. We had all age groups, and even the adults got into it. It was pretty fun. And then the pumpkin painting, we had several activities. Uncorked, is going to be, we'll have wine vendors, cider, growlers. Fearless said they would be making a special brew for that event. So that would involve, a little bit more monitoring. I know we'll have to get alcohol monitors, and we have to, of course, go through the whole process of checking ID and getting a wristband and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
that's a little bit more complex. So if we did have more of a break, halfway through, that would be good.
Okay, so with all that information, we do need to pick a name for the event. Does anyone have an idea for that?
Don't we have glasses that are carrying over from a past event
Oh, yeah.
that they uncorked on them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have to use those glasses for Uncorked. But if we want to do a combination of a name to put on flyers and stuff, or we can still leave it Uncorked / Harvest Festival.
Yeah,
I'm not,
wondering if we
I'm not the
can just
creative
do
one here.
like Uncorked Harvest Festival 2022 and kind of explain what it is on the flyers versus coming up with like a catchy name, unless somebody has a great idea for one, and then I'm down.
Yeah,
I don't have
Well-
anything catchy. I was just gonna call it Fall Festival, and then you could put underneath, like, what if there is a catchy name, you just put underneath Harvest Festival / Uncorked to clarify what, to give people
Yeah.
the image in their head what they're doing, but I don't feel like
That's a-
there needs to be a special name.
that's a good idea. Short and sweet.
Yep, that's perfect for me. What's everybody else think?
Fall Festival.
Cool. All right, I'll write it down.
Thank you, Chris. I love these new minds, new brains that are coming into the old head of mine.
Okay, and then Connie, last thing about this is a possible creation of a subcommittee. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, did any of you have a chance to look at the plan that I handed out or Matt set out, listing what needed to be done when?
Yes, we didn't
Okay.
have dates on those though.
No, we don't have dates, no.
Okay,
But it's kind of like the 4th of July parade. I just kind of spelled it out. I'll take a look at that. I think there's, again, what I said, the biggest hurdle is going to be the OLCC.
Okay.
and Bennett has given me some great advice on how to deal with, we have wooden tokens and how to deal with the vendors on that. So OLCC and kind of getting a word out to vendors about this event that's coming up. So kind of like a save the date. I have a lot of that information from past events, so I would be, and Courtney O'Byrne is, she's been recruited, you know, she did a great job on getting vendors. So I think I'll kind of start the ball rolling on that, and then maybe March, April, we can narrow it down to getting some folks involved. And again, I think we just need to really reach out to people in our community, because people make the mistake of saying they want to get involved, and you know, you just kind of pounce on them then.
Yes.
So
Love that. Okay. So you're good as of right now, but you're gonna start working on, if you need help, reach out and maybe we
Yep.
can post on some of the Facebook pages and ask for volunteers.
yeah, that's what Matt did for the 4th of July parade, and I never had I never had so many volunteers. I was just so totally covered for the
Yeah,
parade. It was amazing.
there's actually a lot of people that really do want to help, and a lot of them are in the neighborhood watch page.
Okay.
So if you want somebody to post about that, let's
Yeah.
figure out how we need to do that. I don't know if it needs to be a staff person or what, but
Yeah.
just let,
Well,
I
I
don't,
might, yeah, I might reach out and just want one person to take on a different segment of each event. So,
okay,
yeah, and I'm not gonna, I don't know how to say this, but I want to be real careful about who we bring in to be representing us.
yes,
They're going to be dealing with children. They're going to be dealing with alcohol. So I want to be pretty one-on-one selective on who we bring in to help with these events.
okay. Sorry, I'm not trying to rush us through this stuff. I just want to actually get through our agenda.
Masculine. Oh, thank you.
The revitalization grant update. Are there any updates, Melanie?
I don't have,
any updates. Oh, can you hold me just a second?
or do you want to just?
What do I
Tap-
do?
Tap your screen.
Oh.
And then you'll see the mic.
Okay,
No.
You just needs to turn off her sound.
I think we're far enough apart now. Yeah, okay, here, let me.
As they're working on that, my question was just going to be on, like, there may not be updates, but I'm kind of curious on what's happening with the revitalization. I know that there's the building going in right over by Ace. I know that Ant Farm has a grant that's pending with that. And I also know that they're tearing down Pro Cop, and there's something going on with that, and that the Mossy Rock got updated during this last year. Is there other things that I'm not aware of that's going on with the revitalization component?
You can speak to that, Melanie, if you want.
I believe that this revitalization grant is that one that comes through the state. Is that the one we're talking about? Through the historical, is it a historical grant, I believe? So it's actually not from the city, it's through the state, but the city partners with the property to make this come together. And that was what the Mossy Rock building utilized. They utilized this revitalization grant. And so I don't, and now this is like another round a couple years later, the state has opened it up again. And I don't know if you have applicants already. It looks to me like you wanted to meet with the applicant to discuss how, so I thought maybe you guys had somebody you were working with already, but I'm not sure on that.
Hannah is the person that we're working with.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
she's trying to get the building next to mine and Julie's shop.
Okay.
with that grant. I'm not sure on the update that I get like about 1 million emails from them daily. And so I'm trying to figure out, Hannah, do you know where you're at with that?
We are step 1, phase 1, where we have to get it started.
So
I know
maybe,
it's due March 15th.
Okay.
And Matt has sent me some PDFs of previous years grants and just kind of, to get me up to speed with, what this entails and all that. But yeah, not much has been done. I think my next step was to meet with you, Melanie, and see where we're at, who we need to talk to, what needs to happen.
okay, perfect. Why
So,
don't we do that? I'll just put that in the notes. It's due March 15th.
mhm.
That Hannah would like to be the applicant. I don't know that I'll have to read it. Matt wrote us a book, basically.
Yeah,
It's all this information, so it's great. So I need to look in there to make sure if there's anybody else that we would need to reach out to also. But Hannah, let's just connect during the workday or whenever works for you, and we'll look at where you're at and what is required in the grant, see if we can get that moving forward.
sounds good.
So I don't know if it's really something that the whole committee needs to work on, other than probably in the promotional part of it at the beginning to see if there was anybody who wanted to apply.
Yeah, we chose, because Hannah was the only person that put in her application. So we
Okay.
chose her. And then
Okay.
we saw some of the drawings that you had gotten drawn up for what it may look like.
Mhm.
And then Matt wanted me, you, and him to meet so that we could talk about the design. Because one of the things Matt had said is like, the people that typically get chosen, their building fits right in with the town. And so it's supposed to be like a revitalization of the older style building to bring it up to look new. And so he just wanted to like go over any design issues he might think that might keep you from getting the grant.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm sure he wrote that for you, Melanie, in that book you're talking about.
He
because
probably did.
Yeah, he was pretty knowledgeable about it. So if there's any part of it that I can help with, or we need to meet up and talk about anything, please just let me know, and I'm happy to be looped into that.
Why don't I reach out to Taylor and Hannah via email? We'll figure out a time to get together and start moving that forward.
Sounds
Would that be
good.
all right?
Can I
Okay.
just also,
go
also
ahead,
just
Jenny.
to piggyback on that, yeah, just like what Taylor was saying, but he was saying in the last meeting that they really try to focus on projects that honor the history of the town. And so they used a lot of that language when they did the Mossy Rock one. And they really feel like that's what really got them chosen, is because they were really focused on honoring the history of the town. And so rather than reinvent the wheel, kind of looking at that Mossy Rock application and trying to use some of that same language would probably be beneficial for your success in this. And I think everybody was on board of like, this is great, this is great. Some of the drawings, and again, I wasn't there, but I just saw the Zoom this morning, but some of the feedback was just that the design that you had was maybe a little too modern, that it might stick out too much from the rest of the neighboring businesses. And if you could scale that back a little bit to be more sort of to blend in with the other architecture, that might be more successful. So.
Yeah. And that's pretty much exactly what Matt said. So when Melanie reaches out, I guess we can kind of all talk about that, maybe do a meeting or something.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
let's do that. Okay.
Okay, Jenny, passport time.
Okay. So there was a lot of momentum for the passport in the beginning. There was also a lot of hurdles with getting businesses to sort of get online and upload their logos and get all the data that we needed. It kind of got left at the point of Matt was going to get us the list of which businesses had taken those steps and which ones hadn't. And then I think Taylor and Matt and I were going to get together and sort of cherry pick and see which businesses actually this makes sense for, whereas some of them it wouldn't, like the fire station. There's some businesses where there's not always people staffed there and wouldn't make sense to have public going in and getting a stamp. So thinking about, what's the retail spots and where do we want to encourage the community to go and meet their local businesses. Then there was all these other things that happened where the chamber came up with the thing that we thought was going to be just like what we were doing, which ended up being this field guide, which really was quite different. So that kind of threw us back for a minute, and then it turns out it wasn't necessarily redundant. So then we picked up our momentum again, and then Sandy Chamber of Commerce came out with this thing, which is their passport. And I know that you guys talked about this at the last meeting, and there was some hard feelings about businesses that were involved and weren't involved. I looked at the list of the businesses that are involved in Estacada, which Harmony is. There's quite a few on there. I don't know where my camera is. I don't know how to do this, but there's quite a few in Estacada, and they're pretty much all in the chamber. And so I think that may be what happened, is that the businesses that got approached were the ones that are part of the Estacada Chamber, because this is something that was put on specifically by Sandy Chamber and Estacada Chamber. So I think that may be where people got left out. I was excited about this when they approached me about it, because all of the virtual content looks beautiful and very professional. And I just thought, wow, they did a really good job. So I guess we don't need to do ours because they're already doing it and they're doing a really good job of it. However, this paper piece, that's the actual logistical piece that the community uses, it's not successful in my opinion. I've had one person use it at Harmony. It's a weird format. And just like Taylor brought up at the last meeting, there's no incentive to go into multiple businesses. You can just spend all the money at one business and get all those stamps. And you're not necessarily walking into any business that you've never been in before, which is really the purpose of what our passport was going to be, was to get people into multiple businesses, right? So I think that this kind of misses the mark on what we were trying to do. So I feel like we need to pick back up where we left off with our passport and get that rolling again. So again, back to the piece of getting that list from you, Melanie, of what businesses have already uploaded their logos. And then I don't know if Taylor, if you still have the capacity to work with me on this or not, now that you're chair. But that would be the next step, I guess, is for us to look and see who's actually made some effort and which businesses we want to actually put more energy into to like go around again and encourage them again to participate. And then the next step would be going into like getting it published and the printing and all of that, which again, the difference between these two things, this is beautiful. This I don't think is effective. So I would like us to shoot for quality, and I would like us to stick with our goal of getting people into multiple businesses versus getting people to spend a bunch of money at like two places. So.
Okay, so I agree that misses the mark completely. I just thought it was not well done in what we're trying to accomplish, which is we wanted everyone to go into Bennett's business, into Julie's business, into your business. Like we really wanted everybody going into each business. So I also think we should still continue on with it. I do think, in my opinion, I want to sit down with you, or we can do it as a group. I don't care. And pick the actual businesses that we should be reaching out to. It doesn't make sense to go to Reliance. It doesn't make sense to go to the gas stations. People are already going to the gas stations. So if that's my opinion, I just want to pick the correct businesses to go into and then go from there. How does everybody else feel about it?
I like that idea, and I was also going to share that I would be excited to help out in some capacity to also make that move forward.
Well,
I mean, there's, with what you just shared, Jenny, I think it misses the mark completely. If I can spend all my money at Harmony, I'm going to buy treats. So that's what I'm going to do. So if we really want to get people into other places, I think the marketing and the way that we push it out, besides just the paper, also should be considered. so that there
Mhm.
isn't confusion on, is this the same? I already have this other piece, or since I have Sandy and all of that.
I agree.
Yeah, and this would just be specifically downtown Estacada, right? So we're not going to partner with Sandy and Mount Hood territory and all the things that they, you know, they reached really broadly. And I think that that's not our goal. Our goal is to get people, because we have this huge influx of new neighbors, that they need to get to know what's in their downtown. And that's, you know, clearly aligned with the goals of our committee. So, yeah, I think that, you know, this is all good learning to sort of see what other groups are doing and what not to do. So I think that we have an opportunity here to do this really well.
Really quick on distribution. I know, oh, sorry, Bennett, I didn't see you had your hand
Ben
raised.
Hunter.
Go ahead.
So a couple of things. One, back to what you just were saying, Jenny, about how one looks nice and the other one doesn't. I think Mount Hood territory was involved in that. Is there a Mount Hood territory logo on that anywhere on the Estacada Field Guide?
Oh, on the Estacada Field Guide, sorry.
So I'm pretty sure they were.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure they provided the funding for it. And so that's what they would be doing, is casting a really wide net, because they're looking at it from a tourism standpoint. And back to, again, what you were saying is that we are very specific. The area and the businesses that are in our area of concern are very, very specific. So the one thing that, I mean, I've done a bunch of these projects with the Chamber of Commerce and whatnot, and I just really encourage you not to spoon feed these businesses. So I wouldn't be too restrictive about who is able to participate. But the other thing more important is that we can send out email. That has this email list that goes to all these businesses that are in this downtown core. You can send out emails to them and say, hey, do you want to participate in this? But give them a deadline. And if they don't make that deadline, then I encourage you not to then go visit them and then make telephone calls and then, do all kinds of things waiting for these guys to cross the finish line. They're business people. If they want to participate, they should be able to figure it out. So don't put this all on top of you. If you got to the point where you said, you know what, we don't have enough participating businesses, I think it's going to fail because of that, then I guess there would be an excuse to go and try and, squeeze them. But if that's not the case, then, particularly volunteers, we're volunteers. We have other things that are supposed to occupy our time. And if you make this so that it's like, just this huge task where you're putting it all on your back, I don't think that that's reasonable to expect us to do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And really the first step is we just need to figure out who's actually done the first steps. At this point, we don't even have the list. That was in Matt's hands. So we need to get that, I guess, from you, Melanie, and then see where we're at. We just need to start with assessing like how much success we've had so far, and then where do we need to pick up from there.
But didn't he distribute, he put together that flyer, that poster. It was a half-page thing that described what it was that you were trying to do. He put that together and he distributed that. So
right, but there was a spot for businesses to then go upload their logo. And I believe he was the recipient of those. So I don't know
check on that. Yeah,
which
I'll check.
businesses have uploaded their logos.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I can check on that. And that might be one of the first things for this new staff person to even start working on, is if that's a good priority of all that and the e-newsletter, which should be fairly simple for her to get rolling. But this might be a great way for her to A, get to know you guys, B, get to know our businesses, and but we don't have to wait for her necessarily. I can go ahead and look for that list and see where we're at and send you guys an update.
That'd be great.
I think that'd be helpful because I think it was a really short time frame that we gave everybody to get their stuff in. And so I think if we
Mhm.
set one more date, like you're saying, and they don't do it, then it's time to move forward. I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait for people either.
Yeah.
Jenny, do you have an idea of a timeline of when we would like to get this out?
I mean, I mean, again, I don't know how much participation we've had at this point. So like, I mean, if we looked at that list and we were like, okay, we've got, 25 businesses participating, then we don't have a huge turnaround here. But again, we were going to go with Marissa for the printing, and I think she needs at least 30 days. So from my memory. So there's always going to be, once we get all of the actual data in place, then there's going to be the turnaround just for the production piece. Another thing that Matt was going to do, so this, I don't know if this is going to fall on the new staff person, but there's a lot of businesses in town that don't have a logo. Like they don't have like a high quality vector image logo. And so Matt was going to sort of come up with something to help them so that they could, sort of keep up with the high quality that we were hoping for this passport. Right. So that's potentially a lot of legwork too, depending on what we're getting from these businesses. So there's just a lot of unknown at this point. But I mean, I don't know. Why don't we shoot for spring break? I mean, I don't know.
That's the end of March.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a great timeline.
So if it was all ready to go to print by the end of February,
Or
Yeah.
even mid-February. Yeah.
mid-February,
Yeah.
it could go to print and then get distributed by spring break.
And are we thinking for distribution, we're keeping it in our businesses? Are we keeping it in City Hall? What are we doing?
I thought we were going to do both.
Okay,
Yeah.
easiest way to kind of get traction. They can kind of get it anywhere convenient.
Yeah. And I think that we talked about having incentives for each stamp, like having like something free at each business when you get a stamp. And then we kind of ex-nayed that because we don't want it to get abused. And that's not really the point, and so I think that there's no harm in having it at multiple locations and easy to access if there's no real potential for people to like, get 50 of them and get 50 free sides of fries. Right. So that's not an issue.
Yeah, I agree. I think if there's nothing to take advantage of, then
Mm-hmm.
okay. So first things first, let's get the list,
Yeah.
figure out who's missing from the list,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can send out another, hey, get it in by this date. And if it's
Mhm.
not in, we'll just move forward
Mm-hmm.
or decide we don't have enough participation and not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so Melanie, hopefully you can find that for us and then we will figure out how to move forward from there.
Sounds good. Good plan.
Okay, marketing research project. I don't remember what that was about. Does anybody else? I feel like it was something that we were having the community college work on, maybe. Bennett, do you remember?
So I think there, I don't know, but is it anything to do with the community outreach? Because the community outreach was the thing that we had said that we wanted to get some help from maybe a community college or something like that.
I think you're right. I think it was the community outreach and it was trying to figure out what people felt like was missing from our town, right? Does that
Just
sound right?
their ideas. What do you want the town to offer? What do you want to have available here? Ideas how you would like the town to look, how many events do you think is that kind of, what kind of events do you think you'd like the town to have? Those kinds of questions in it.
Okay. I think Connie was the one that was working on that with Matt. So Connie, do you have any input on that?
Can you hear me without an echo? Yeah. Okay, so you gotta put that, I think you gotta put that on. No, let's just say, I don't know what to do with that. Here, you talk to them. I'm gonna try to figure that out. Okay, it's okay. You talk to them.
I put these in my ear.
Yeah, and then they can hear you.
Oy vey. Okay, here we go. Am I on? Hello. Okay. Yeah, the marketing thing. We did talk with the community college. They were right in the middle of the term, so it wasn't a project they wanted to take on right now, but Matt did give me the information. I think it's with Southern Oregon University, and I'll be following through on that.
Okay, so do you want to just kind of give us a status report when you figure out what's going on with that?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Connie.
Yep.
Newspaper column and newsletter, which we kind of already talked about a little bit. Do you want the same thing for that, Bennett? When we have ideas, I know you said we're trying to send an email,
Totally.
send a newspaper column and Facebook, Instagram, that stuff, all the same information.
Yeah, yeah. So now that Jenny has said that the date on the passport, because I really do want to write about the passport when we're going to launch the passport, but not until we launch it. So, so if I can write something about, I mean, the first one that I wrote was just about what is the DEC and what is the DEC doing. And so the second one is a great idea would be to write about, the different projects that are going on in the downtown area. But I would need somebody to feed me that information. Melanie just stepped out. She might be able to do that, or at least connect me with someone that could.
Yeah, I'm a little curious about how we get that information too. So maybe that is because we want to relay correct information, obviously. So I
will put it
guess,
on my list.
okay. And then if anyone else has any ideas for stuff for the newsletter or for the newspaper article, please email Bennett with fun
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Project assignments, tentative start dates, and leads. Connie, was that in regards to your stuff?
I don't know. I didn't put that on the agenda.
I did, but I didn't know what it was for. Project assignments. I feel like it is in regards to your
Mhm.
your stuff that you have going on with 4th of July parade, because
Yeah.
I'm assuming, are you starting to work on that now?
I've submitted the permit application. The next thing we got to come up with is a theme. Got to come up with a theme pretty soon because people start asking me in March, April about the theme. So rack your brains, come up with a theme and grand marshals.
Okay.
What have the themes been in the past?
Oh my goodness.
It's a great question, Jenny.
Oh my goodness. We had one that was the Sound of Music, but not about the movie. Just we wanted to have more music. We had I can't remember, Jenny. We tried to focus, like one year was Philip Foster Farm's anniversary, so we had them. One year we wanted to, in fact, last year we wanted to highlight the school, so we got them to be our grand marshals. I don't remember.
This is Melanie. I could look back through the parade applications and take a look.
I might not have had the theme on there then. I try, and on my parade notes, I tried to put the theme every time I did my parade notes. But,
Okay.
We have your young minds out there, so what's going on this year? What do we want to say? I think we had dancing in the streets one year. Yeah, we do. We were going after song titles. That seemed to be a good draw. So we had dancing in the street one year. We're really focusing on getting marching bands in this year. We want to get some more music. So
Okay.
come up with something catchy.
So what do you need from us right now, or what can we help with
Nothing right now, but as you're thinking about what's going on around Estacada and everything, and we come up with a parade theme, want something that people would be able to focus their decorations on, or be able to expand on in their parade entry.
Okay, so I guess everybody think on that. And then can we just email you, Connie, if we
Yep.
have an idea that comes to our heads?
Yep.
Okay, and then just keep us posted on what you need help with so that we can start doling
Yep.
out those responsibilities.
Yep.
Okay, and then voting on the plan. Has everyone had a chance to read the plan? Or to look through it does everybody feel confident in it? I really want to get the plan like voted in today.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris and Hannah got the latest copies that had all the promotional stuff in it. Probably
Okay.
not,
Yeah, a little
but-
confused on what
Okay.
this is, but
but I'd be happy to send it to you.
I think Matt sent it out right when you guys got added to the committee. It was the first email. It had the completed plan, which essentially is us just what our goals are for the DEC, what we're focused on, what our marketing goals are, all of those things in there. Did you by chance see that at all, Chris?
I'm looking through my email at the moment, so I'll say yes. I know that I had originally an email during that time. It's just,
It's been a while.
yeah.
Okay.
Would it have come from Matt? Is that what you're
Yes.
thinking? Okay.
Yeah. I think in his welcome email to you guys is where it was at.
If this is something that the previous board had been working on also, I would, and the board members who have been working through it, if ever all of you are confident, I would think that the new board members could also just agree with the work that has been done. And then usually plans, they kind of take on a life of their own. And if they need to be modified down the road, like if you need to review it in 6 months or in the following year, you could do that to go ahead and pass that. If the board members who have been, participating in developing it are all in agreement that this is good, I would say go ahead and pass it and move forward with it. But only if enough of you are confident that it's ready to go.
How do the people that worked all on it, how do you guys all feel? Connie's good. Jenny's good. Bennett, how are you feeling about it? Good. Julie? Good. Okay, so Chris and Hannah, is that okay with you? And then if
I do have it. He sent it to my work email, not my personal email. So I
Okay.
do have it. I have not read through it, but I trust you guys. I mean, this is all us coming in anyway. So even if it had been a month later, you guys have already done all this work. So I trust that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have you had an opportunity, Chris and Hannah, to read all the documents that I'm sure Matt provided you with about the Main Street program and what the focus is on the Main Street program?
Bennett, all that I had from Matt was this, let me go back up to the top, the Main Street program plan. And
Yep.
it says July 21 to June 22. All that's in there, I didn't notice.
That's the business plan. I'm
Okay,
talking about documents that were actually created by the Main Street program.
I have not seen anything else other than that.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, Connie has something that she wants to add here.
We had binders made up for all the board members like a year or two ago, and it focused on the Main Street and what it involves. There might still be some of those, that information in Nancy's office. I'd be happy to look for that, and if so, get it out to Chris and Hannah.
So Matt had, the reason I'm talking about this is because Matt had that digitally and I'm surprised that he wouldn't have sent it to you, but let's just assume that he didn't, because before you read our business plan, it would be a really good idea to read those documents, because then you would see how our business plan actually fits in with the strategy and focus of the Main Street program, of which we're following their, their philosophy. And I was, as a new member of the DEC, very surprised about two things. One is that the focus of the, I was told by everybody that the DEC and the Main Street program was largely focused on events. And when I read that document, not only was it a lot more, it had a lot more meat to it than I was anticipating, but it said kind of just the opposite, which is it's originally the Main Street program was designed to revitalize historical downtowns and to revitalize those historical buildings specifically. And so it would be really good for you to be able to see those documents about the Main Street program, and then consider what it is that we decided to actually try to achieve during this fiscal year. So Melanie, did you hear all that? No. Melanie, did you hear?
I heard most of that.
Okay,
I heard
good.
most of it.
Because
So-
we got to find that stuff for these guys.
Okay, so we want to get Main Street information to new members. And hopefully like that binder book for that you guys got to them would be helpful. So they have a good overview. Is that kind of what you were talking about? I missed the end of it.
We did not get a binder. That was something that
Oh.
Connie said happened a few years ago.
Oh, okay, so just the Main Street info and a copy of the plan that you guys have been working on. Okay,
No. So I guess with all of that being said, we'll get you that information for the Main Street plan, get you our plan information, and we'll go ahead and do the plan, finalize the plan right now. And then if you guys come back and you have questions or anything in the next meeting, let's address them while we're there. So I would like to make a motion to finalize the plan today.
Maybe adopt the plan.
Adopt the plan. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the plan.
I will second that.
Awesome. Okay.
and then we want to make sure everybody is all in favor, say aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
And if there's any opposed,
Any opposed?
nope, all right, motion carries.
Perfect. Okay, so we are at public comment number 2. Do we have anybody?
There is nobody in the waiting room.
Okay. So no public comment, and then we just adjourn the meeting, I guess.
I guess maybe I should have put on their comments, committee member, board member. Are you a committee or you're a commissioner
Commission.
comments? I, in case anybody wanted to say anything at the end, which I neglected to put on the agenda, but if Taylor, if you want to ask if anybody has comments, you're welcome to do that.
Does anyone have comments, questions?
I had a question.
Sure.
We're planning on doing an event downtown on Earth Day, or at least the day after. Is that something that, if it's all of downtown gets included into this, if it's a specific company that's doing, like, what's the divide between interacting with the DEC on an event versus a company or a business doing it solo? Like, can you guys help me to understand that kind of line real quick?
Melanie? I don't know the answer to that.
I think that there's events that are sponsored by the DEC. And then there's just events that are in general promoted, like that Bennett could write a blurb. I don't know how much involvement you're wanting from the community, Chris, if you just want them to know it's happening, which is still could be news about what's going on downtown. Or if you're wanting to involve other people, is that, Bennett, something that would go in that e-newsletter or the press releases that you're doing?
Well, yeah, so how this got me thinking about this was that heard that Harmony had some music on Fridays, and I have a few events that we have every single month on the same dates. And I started thinking, there's really a lot of things that are going on in Estacada on a regular basis that are entertainment kind of oriented things, and that people probably don't know about these things very much. And so I thought that that would be a good, so those are the things I'm looking for.
Would that be helpful, Chris?
And it doesn't have to
Okay,
just
that
be
helps. Thank
music or
you.
anything like that. It can be just, we have dance lessons on, every Wednesday or something like that.
Or we're doing a cleanup event or a planting something for Earth
I'm looking
Day
for
or-
something that's a little bit recreational and or entertainment recreational, and I'm looking for something that's not a one-time event. So
Okay.
something that goes on pretty much is calendared for repeat things.
Okay. And I think, do you guys incorporate not just literally downtown when you're down the hill, but downtown Estacada, including up like what's on Main Street and going out to Wade Creek House? Is that all considered downtown Estacada, or is it literally just the lower, this
Yeah,
little area down here?
our area of focus is very defined.
Okay.
And so, Melanie, there are some maps. I think I probably have them around someplace I can share with you, but there's actually a district that's defined as the downtown core
Okay.
district, and that's what we're dealing with.
That's
And
what
it
you're
doesn't
doing.
go up to Wade Creek.
Okay. Perfect. Good to
I don't
know.
think the library's in it as an example.
Okay. Good to know. And then, so then like an event that the Ant Farm might be doing that Chris is working on with Ant Farm, that isn't necessarily something that would go into the newsletter other than because it's not ongoing. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No, I think I wouldn't want to be too exclusive.
Mhm.
So I don't want it to be like what you were saying, city cleanup day. I'm not looking for things that are more entertainment, recreational oriented. But if he's got some kind of one-time event that does fall into that category, then
Mhm.
I think that would be fine.
Okay.
I don't like to exclude. I'm more like
Mhm.
inclusive.
Include, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
the nice thing too about the DEC, because the chamber is a membership organization.
right.
And so if people aren't members and they don't receive those benefits, but with the DEC, as long as they're in your district,
Right.
everybody is included. So
You're 100% correct about that. And the chamber's net is way wider than our net is.
mhm. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Good to know.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I do. Jenny, real fast, for the passport, is this gonna be like for the summer? Or is it a yearly thing, or how does it work?
I'm trying to remember now. I'm
Or
gonna
is
have to
it-
look at my notes if we had like a deadline on it or not. I can't remember if we
Okay.
did. I think we did have to have a deadline because we wanted people to complete it in order to be entered into a raffle for a grand prize. And there was going to be sort of a handful of prizes. So there is going to need to be a deadline on it. So that is something we're going to have to address once
Maybe
we.
it could end up around like the Harvest Festival or something and
That's a great idea.
give the prize at the, I don't know.
Yeah, I like
that a
that.
lot.
But
Yeah.
I didn't know if you said an end time, but
No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's
give
great.
people time to.
And that's like a 6-month time period too. If we do like spring break to Harvest Festival, then it's 6 months and it's like, summertime. So that sounds great.
I'm
And
gonna put,
one more
sorry.
one more just comment I went through my emails with Matt because I have so many things from him regarding like the grant and then the DEC. So I have a PDF. It's it's 33 pages, the Main Street program plan. Is that what y'all are talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Um,
I'll read it. Cool.
One other thing I was gonna say, at the next meeting, I'm gonna have it put on the agenda to talk about the grand prize. because we need to kind of start, we'll do a whole passport update because Jenny and, we'll talk, but I want to figure out the grand prize and get the budget all together and in order so that we can really move forward with this as quickly as possible. Does that work for everybody? Okay. Okay. Is everybody good?
Well done, Taylor.
Thanks.
Yeah, very good. I think you guys got a lot done tonight.
Awesome. Okay, well.
A lot
meeting-
more to do though.
Yeah, there is. All right. Everybody have a great night. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.